The earliest data on Greeks are not older than 1400 BC. The arrival of Proto-Greeks in Greece, more precisely it would be pre-Greek, is about 2000 years BC, with the general movement of the Aryan people and the emergence of Hittites and Luwites in Asia Minor. By Hittites, fine means the Aryan Nashites, not the old Hattusians, Hurrites. As for Kadma, when the Greeks link the arrival of the Phoenician literacy to Greece, the matter is extremely problematic and unsustainable in the light of science. Regarding that, Diodorus says the following: Cadmo brought a letter to Greece, which Lino was the first to use for the Greeks, and gave a letter to each of the letters. That letter is called Phoenician, but the Pelasgians were the first to use the letter, and that is why it is called Pelasgica. The palace of Cadmus in Thebes was discovered, and that dates back around 1400 BC or something later. The publisher Diodorus notes that a letter was found in a palace, but that it is not of Semitic origin and that Greek literacy is not older than 800 BC. Diodorus gives us the following account. Lino, who was also adored for his poetry and singing, had several very famous students, Hercules, Tamir, and Orpheus. From those three, Hercules learned to play lyra, but he was lazy soul and was not able to appreciate what he learned. Once, when Lino punished him with a beating, he got angry and killed his teacher with a lyre. Tamir had an unusual natural talent. He practiced the art of music and said that his voice was more beautiful in singing than the voice of a muse. The angry muses punished him by depriving him of his talent for music. We will talk about the third student, Orpheus, in another place. Lino, as they say, compiled a depiction in a Pelasgian letter about the works of the first Buck and other Devonian legends. In same way, Orpheus used the Pelasgian alphabet as Pronapich, who was Homer's teacher and gifted songwriter. Timosta was contemporary of Orpheus, who traveled to many parts and reached the western end of Africa, to the ocean. He visited the city of Nisa, where they told him about the deeds of that god, the Nisian Buck, and then he composed a Phrygian poem in which he used the old way of language and script. Henry d'Arbois de Jubenville adds, the Thracian singer Tamir sang about the events when the Greeks kidnapped Greece from Thracians. Orpheus' real name was Sorbius, and Diodorus says that he read Sorbius' writings on stone tablets and that he lived in a century before the Trojan War. According to Diodorus, Homer died before the return of Heraclius. That means that Homer died before the end of 12th century BC. About 50 or more years after the Trojan War. From all this, we see that Lino, Sorbet, Tamir, Poslapic, and Omir were Serbs trained in Serbian literature and used the Serbian alphabet, which Diodorus calls Pelasgian. The same letter was used not only in Asia Minor and Crete, but also in Greece and Mycena and Orchomenius. And then it is possible for the Greeks to get... How is it then possible for the Greeks to get literacy from some other side from Phoenicia? To make the story even less convincing, Lino, who is not Greek, is adapting the letter for Greeks. He himself uses the Pelasgian script. So how did it happen that the Greek alphabet was a faithful copy of the Serbian alphabet, the same alphabet that Diodorus calls Pelasgian? From the point of view of historical science, the Greek stories are, to say the least, frivolous. The Greeks found a Serbica in Greece, where they came from Egypt. Tarshish, Italy. The second son of Jovan was called Tarshish in Hebrew, and in eyes of the Jews, this country was personification of naval and trading power on Pelag. This actually gives us the first determinants on where the land of Tarshish was. In a neighborhood of the country, Jovan, the only remaining place is in the south, and that is Italy. And indeed, the land of Tarshish is Italy, and the people after whom it received its covenant name are the Raceni, and that is Etruscans. Raceni or Rashna, as they call themselves, gave Tarshish in Hebrew, which was probably pronounced Rashish in the beginning. And under the influence of the Greek language, it became Tarshish, as Raceni Tirseni. The Greeks called the Racens Tirsen, and Romans called the Tyrrhenians, Tuscans and Etruscans. We call them Raceni in order to distinguish them and other Serbian tribes that use the name Rashani, although we can simply call them Rashani. The geographical position of the country of Tarshish corresponds exactly to Italy when a way of presentation in a Bible is taken into account, which was correctly noticed by Edward Wells. The Wells quadrangle of the sons of Jovan corresponds exactly to the places of the lands going from right to left, as read by the Jews, and from the bottom to the top, that is, from south to north. On the first lower right corner of Elisha, that is, Greece. On lower center is Tarshish, which is Italy. On upper right corner is Hetim, which is Macedonia and its hinterland. On upper left corner is Rodanim, which is Rodania, or Gallia. Having established this schedule of expositions in the Bible, it was not difficult for Wells to recognize inappropriate countries and names of people. And he says, Trusci is the name as Tarshish. The name of Tirseni may have originated from Tarsos, Tarshish. Bohardius says that Turios became Tuskos, and that Raceni had the word Druna in their language, which the Greeks translate from Arche, meaning prince. Since the Palestinians in Palestine had a name Serani for lord, it is thought that Greek's word Tira came from that. Although linguistically it was possible for the Greek's word tyrant to become from Seranium or Druna, we hold that was not the case. The Greek word tyrant originated from Tartan or Taran, which was a high rank among the ancient Serbs. In Assyria there was the title of Tartan, and this title is translated into English with Commander-in-Chief. We know that Raceni had several different ranks and titles, including Druna and Lukumon, but they also had Tartan, that is Tarana, which also appears as Tarkan, which is Tarquin in Latin. Taran, Tartan, Tarsan, or Trsan means in ancient Serbian language protector, leader, and supreme commander. Kini explains the origin of the Greek word tyrannos and says that it originated from Lydian word suran. The Greeks replaced the initial word sima with tau. The Bible mentions the title Serani among the Philistines, which is the Hebrew form of word Suran. Suran is one of the names of the god Serbon. Josephus says that Tarshish was Cilicia, whose capital was called Tarsus. Neither was he clear enough in his accounts, nor was he properly understood. Some others have declared city of Tartesh in southern Spain the country of Tarsis. In fact, for a long time they interpreted the land of Tarshish as the city of Tarsus in Cilicia. So when they realized that the Old Testament speaks of Tarshish as a distant country rich in metals, they moved to Tarshish in Spain. But Tarshish is connected with Jovan, and Spain cannot be geographically connected with Jovan, and neither can Cilicia. The German Knobel was among the first to advocate the opinion that Racens were the first to come to Betica and give it their name. First of all, it should be borne in mind that Bible does not give a name to a country named after a city, because it would mean that the name is limited to the city in question. It is about countries, not cities. It is out of question for a city to be declared a country. Therefore, it is not possible to take Tarshish or Tarshish in Cilicia or Tartish in Spain. The Rassens immigrated from Asia Minor to Italy during the Serbians' campaign, at the same time as the Iberian neighbors to Spain. Herodotus says that the Rassens, whom he called Tyrians, moved from Judea to Italy under the leadership of Tirsen, and to be named Tyrseni after him. This statement of Herodotus is in principle correct, but not the name. But not by name. Tirsen was most likely a Greek copy of the title Tartan, and that is a title, not a name. It is possible the leader with such a title was at their head, but the main leader was Serbian, and according to him they were called Serbs or Sardani. Proof of that is found exactly in Herodotus, namely on the southern coast of Italy, where inhabited Rasseni and Dardani, who were called together Serbs, as evidenced by the name of the sea that they were on. We will convey here a story from Herodotus, first book, section 166. He talks about the evil fate of the Greek Phocians from Asia Minor. The Phocians sailed on numerous ships and settled in Corsica, on the northern coast of the town of Aleria. It was called that by Romans, the Greeks, Alalia.